Happy Monday to you all. I hope you're having a great day and a good start to your week. Hope your weekend was amazing. That's your song for today. That's all you get for right now. Hope everyone is doing well. Happy Monday. Happy week. Good to see everybody. Speaking of, I see Bjorn Jorgensen, Kieran Ball, Jim Largo, Jesse Hughes, and them for a while, and I saw a Ian Sweeney in there. Nice to see you, sir. I see Jason Garcia as well. Everyone's talking about weird food stuff, but that's okay. Y'all keeping yourself entertained. I appreciate that. Welcome, one and all. Today we have some interesting stuff to discuss. What is over here? What is this? My mouse? No, is it? Oh, it's my bottle. No, Bjorn didn't miss anything. So quick update on everything. Suze is moving into her new place this weekend. I do not have a date set yet. Patrons will get a detailed rundown of what's going on in a Patreon message going out tomorrow. So if you're interested, check that stuff out. I also see Keith Knight says, "Good evening, chaps. Hello, Jim Matey. Hello to you as well, sir." It's good to see you. It's good to see you. So if you're wondering about that stuff's going to go out there, but rest assured, everything's cool. So today we're talking about pre-orders. All right, now pre-orders are relatively new. Okay, if you think about it, in as much as how they manifest in a internet world, right? So for those of us that grew up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, you could order stuff from like a catalog or something, but usually that was something that was in stock or would soon be in stock and was going to ship to you, and it wasn't a lot of hoopla to do ha, and it just happened, and mishaps were kind of rare, right? Whether if you're over in the UK, it was an Argos catalog or a Surface Merchandise or JCPenney or Sears or whatever. You just order it, it would happen. That would be a thing. But you would get the catalogs in advance. We'll let you know, hey, here's when this is happening. I don't have any recollection of being able to put in a pre-order for a Cabbage Patch doll or a new Atari game or a new Nintendo game. I have no recollection of anything like that. It never happened. And Jim is mind melding. He's talking about layaway, which is the closest thing to pre-order I think we had as kids, where you would lay away something, but the actual thing was in your hand for like 8 seconds, and then hold on to this for me. I'm going to pay for it and come back, right? And this is also a really good point from Bjorn Jorgensen, who was Kenner Early Bird Pack the first pre-order. Negative. The reason I say that, although conceptually I agree, you were technically paying for the promise of getting something, right? You paid for the piece of cardboard, like a gift certificate, a gift card for these figures that they would eventually send to you. Because you could buy the early bird, never send it in, and never get the figures, right? So it's not a pre-order because there was more to that transaction. You were buying the lottery ticket, if you will. You have to fill out and send in to get your figures. But it's a very interesting point to make. And, pre-orders are something that kind of manifested around the age of the internet. Okay. So, and I think that they really started getting prevalent in the video game industry first. Like Jason Garcia here is saying, members of the first were the games at GameStop. Exactly. So in order to bolster sales for video games, they would take your pre-order on the game or the console or both. And then when they arrived, they would have this orderly queue. You would go in, pick up your thing, and off you go. And that was like a turn of the right around late 90s, early 2000s kind of a thing. I honestly don't know where it became a thing with toys until a few years ago, right? Um, and Kieran Balls bring up an interesting thing with comic books, ordering them from a mail order comic book store 2 months before release. A periodical, I don't think counts because those are subscriptions in a sense, right? Or a form of a subscription, right? That you're right, because I would do the same thing with comic books, but I would say in advance I want the next 6 months, and then they would just come. I don't call that a pre-order. So I don't want to get into the minutia of it or semantics, although I'm always up for some antics. We're talking mainly about, we're going to take your money, because usually when you order, at least with comic books, where I was, you would order them, but you didn't pay for them until they got there, right? Whereas with a GameStop or something like that, it would be like layaway, where you could pay on it until it shows up, or pay for it when it got there, or pay for it all at once. You had, some options and stuff. And Jim, we're going to get to that. I'm not going to bring it up yet. We're going to get to that, sir. We're going to get to that. And Logic Blaster, I did see you. Nice to see you as well. See here. See, you guys are going deep already. Jason Garcia saying, imagine the first pre-orders were for automobiles or maybe computer systems. I can see that. But did they call it a pre-order? I don't think they did. It's not the same model we have today. So it started with games, and I always have taken a fairly strong issue with pre-orders on games for the most part. Even though I've participated in it, I'm not a huge fan. Here's why. They get your money before the game's even done. They can push back the release date as many times as they want. They still have your money. You haven't played the game. There are no reviews out. You have no way of knowing if the thing's going to be any good at all. And then you get it, and if it sucks, now you're stuck with this thing that's full price and whatever. So I always tended to buy things after release most of the time, unless I had some kind of relative guarantee that I knew I was going to like it. If I'd played a demo and I thought this was really good, great. Destiny's a good example. And there are a few other games where it's like, pretty safe bet. But it's so prevalent now. And these were for physical games, and then later for digital games and DLC and all this stuff. You can certainly do it with books, whether it be electronic or print. You can certainly do it with films these days on disc or digital. And of course, toys and other collectibles, things like that. So there's multiple approaches to that, depending upon the retailer that you're going through. Some places will have you pay them up front, and then they just have your money, and then they deliver the product when it's ready. And in many cases, there's not a huge deal with that. If it's media or something like that, even video games to a certain degree, typically they're going to deliver on their promise, right? But particularly with a book or a movie or something, it's less risk than a toy or a game, I find. Especially if it's a movie that's been in the theater that you saw, so you know what you're getting, right? So it's not a huge thing. But with games in particular, and certainly toys, there's a bigger risk factor, because is this going to be any good? I haven't played it. I haven't seen it in person. A few months back, Jim and I were talking about the cel-shaded X-Men Marvel Legends stuff that were coming out. And I really liked what I saw of the Wolverine that's coming out. And I was immediately like, oh, cool, I got to get this. And he was very quick to caution me, like, but that's a mock-up. You don't know how the paint deco is actually going to look, if it's going to look chintzy, or if there's going to be any depth, or it's going to look 2D. And he's right. I don't know. It might arrive and I might hate it. There are places like Amazon, regardless of the product, if it's a pre-order thing, they'll let you pre-order it. You're not paying a dime. They don't even check to see if you have the money, and they don't charge you until it ships, whatever it might be. And they make sure you get the lowest price that's available up until it actually ships, which is pretty cool. So it's low risk in terms of finances. And Amazon, love them or hate them, does tend to be run a pretty tight ship when it comes to that sort of a thing, generally speaking. There are other places like Walmart where they'll take your money, they'll do an authorization on a pre-order, and then that authorization falls off if it doesn't ship in the time that authorization exists. Then they recharge you, it falls off, you get your money back, and they charge you again when it's time for the actual shipping, which I don't like. I don't like that. It's like, well, if you're going to take my money, just take it. Just take it. Because there is a matter of security there. Because if you take the money, I know I'm going to get it. But a lot of these department stores, a lot of these retail outlets tend to be pretty sketchy when it comes to canceling your pre-order. I don't know why they do that either. And it goes back to something that Jim Largo was saying earlier in the chat. And it's not just Hasbro Pulse. It's a lot of places where they'll just cancel it out of nowhere for no reason. And it's a real pain. And I would say like most places you don't pay for it up front. Like your Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth, that sort of thing. Mattel Creations, you do. We all know how I feel about Mattel Creations, right? And it's really, when you're pledging to purchase something in advance, there's risk. There's a ton of risk. And it's not really consumer friendly. However, in the current market and the way that it tends to work, a pre-order tends to be the only way you can guarantee you're going to get something. Because for whatever reason, whether it be certain kinds of independent music, video games to a certain degree, toys for sure, and other things like that I can think of, they're not going to see the light on a shelf. They're not. They just get sucked right up into whether it's a bot or a reseller or a legitimate consumer's hands. Like, things don't get on the shelf anymore. It's really frustrating. And whether we're talking about the reseller culture being the primary driver of scarcity in the market, which then leads to fear of missing out, aka FOMO. I think it's like the Ouroboros snake where it's eating itself. Where the pre-orders exist, people know that there's going to be a limited supply. Reseller bots buy a bunch, and then people buy it when they didn't get the pre-order, which drives more resellers to and I think that a lot of retail outlets have gotten better, relatively speaking, with combating the bots. Like, for example, Walmart had Collector Con this weekend, which is such a weird thing. Walmart. Exclusives, again. I guess a bunch of bots snapped up their first waves, and then they would stagger the release of certain figures and toys over the course of the few days, so that there were batches available of pre-orders. And for the most part, from what I understand, people that I know that were looking for something from there were able to get it. For example, I was looking for the Bespin guards that were there, because I am very much into using those vintage collection Bespin guards as part of my Bespin thing. It was like, oh, this is perfect. But it took me a good 24 hours to get it, but I got it. Steven brings up a good point with the PlayStation 5. Like that's still almost over a year into its release. Can't get them anywhere. I wanted one before they came out, and now I'm like, I don't care. I just don't care. If I walk into a store and I can afford it in the moment, I can just pick it up off the shelf and buy it, and it's still relevant, I'll get one. Because it looks like a nice piece of kit. But I don't need it. As the PS4 had come to be called the Destiny machine until they put out Destiny on PC. But when we're talking about this risk when it comes to a pre-order, whether it's the PS5 or a toy or whatever, it didn't used to be like that. It would be you could, if you wanted to pre-order something, but you were practically guaranteed that around release date, you could walk in someplace that would sell it, pick it up, and decide to buy it, and then take it home. They don't do that anymore. You look at an Entertainment Earth or a Big Bad Toy Store or near Zoic or any one of these places where they're beholden to the shipping times from the factories and then the shipping partners that they tend to use, and you might not see your pre-order. You're never going to see it on time because they're pre-ordering it and then reselling it to you. That's how these businesses make their money. For what whether you like it or not, that's how it's working. So, Big Bad Toy Store. Oh, okay. So everyone knows that their most recent shipments got delayed from China or wherever. And it is what it is, right? So like Action Force from Big Bad Toy Store hasn't arrived. And anything you ordered that was due to arrive around that time is the same thing, right? I got a bunch of stuff that's along the same lines. But there's stuff that I've ordered along with that, different stuff. Some of that's getting pushed back. Like part of the Doctor Strange multiverse wave is there. And some of it's getting pushed back like 2-3 months. I got emails today that my deluxe G.I. Joe Classified Crocmaster and a couple other figures are getting pushed back like 3 more months. So it's staggering, right? They're staggering their orders, which I don't know how they're going to recover from this, to be honest with you. It sure as shit is not Valaverse's fault. Big Bad had complete control over their shipping methods and continue to be, and I think that their pile of loot system being what it is, they don't have enough overhead to make it happen effectively, or they thought they were going to. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't want to put words in their mouth. Jim Largo here saying that Mezco is notorious for delaying pre-orders. Yeah. And then you got Valaverse, who it took a while to get the first series out, quite a while. But once he had them in hand, they were in people's hands within a week or two. Then he announces Series 2A, takes the pre-orders. People already have them. 2B will be here before you know it. Like Valaverse the direct sales that they're doing, it's perfect. That's the way you do business with a pre-order culture, right? But when we're talking about these shipping delays that other places do it, like, what if everything that I pre-ordered, let's say, from September or October until last week of December, all showed up at the same time, and Big Bad's like, where's my money? Unless you are specifically putting the money aside, which a lot of us do, a lot of us don't, and some of us are somewhere in the middle, that's rough, and it kind of defeats the purpose of the delayed pre-order for me. I have been worried to death that all of these pre-order things are going to come down all at once. I've already got like 5 things sitting there, which is what it is. It's fine. Like, it's not horrible. But it's, if they get things backed up so badly and then everything just comes at once, they're going to lose so much goddamn money. They're going to lose so much money because you can't expect to hit people for hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of dollars because of a shipping error that you facilitated. Like, that doesn't work for me, right? And that's just one example, right? Or like a Walmart where they take your money, then they take the money, they give you the money back, and then you don't think about it, and they go to take it again, and they can't, and they cancel your order. Or look at that Mattel Creations thing with Sunman, where if you don't respond to that email, then they already took your money and didn't give it back, and they're going to cancel it if you don't reply to the fucking email? Come on. Like, it's just this whole thing is kind of nuts. Absolutely insane. Now, one place, and I don't get it, that does pre-orders for toys pretty much perfectly is Walgreens. A freaking drugstore or a chemist, depending upon who you are. When they put up Baron Zemo for pre-order, I put my money down, and he was there in like 10 days. They waited until they had it in the warehouse, took the order, shipped it. Like, they don't deal with any of that other crap. They have a set amount they're going to get. Everyone that buys them immediately gets them right away. And if there's anything left, then it goes out to the stores, which I'm pretty sure their figures don't hit the shelves anymore. Which, by the way, Baron Zemo is he's great. He's sitting over here somewhere. Somewhere in there is a Baron Zemo. There's a binary right there. But it's something where everyone's got a different way of doing it. The money exchanges hands in so many different ways. And there's lots of tools that can help you with the finances, like layaway. Like, you have these services that will let you pay things in quarters, right? Or more, like finance it without there being any interest. Klarna, Sezzle, Afterpay, stuff like that. Those are great if you're doing it with a service that actually takes the money and keeps it. Sometimes that's a problem, right? It's a whole thing. Not a ton of fun. Ted Milich, welcome to the show, says, I don't really pre-order. I actually like to find most of my stuff in store unless online is the only way. I enjoy the hunt. I do too. I just don't. I have yet to have a relationship with a store where I know they're going to have them, right? Like, for me, that even includes, like, hey, can you hold one for me at a store? And there's 1 or 2 stores I could probably go to, and I have a relationship with some store owners that I haven't even broached the subject with. But I've had so much bad luck in DFW trying to get something off the shelf. I'm just so over it. Because the frustration factor for me of it not being there is so high when it's something that's brand new and should be on the shelf. I enjoy the hunt of vintage stuff. Going to flea markets, antiques, that kind of a thing. That I enjoy. It's a hunt because you never know what you're going to find. But if I'm going to a retail store for something that's out and hasn't been out that long, and they don't have it, that's not enjoyable to me. But to each their own, for sure. Ooh. Well, Jason Garcia, Mezco Batman 89. No, that was an SH Figure Arts. Never mind. You're right. The Batman 89 I reviewed was SH Figure Arts, which is an amazing figure and worth the money. Logic Blaster says, my worst experience with pre-orders is with the Mego exclusives from Topps. They charged full price, including shipping, and haven't shipped for many months. Not sure when those figures will ship. Jesse Hughes says, Four Horsemen does not sell their Mythic Legions on their site until the figures are in hand. Once I click the buy button, I get the figure in 1 to 2 weeks. There you go. Ted Millett says, I find small town Walmarts are your best bet for finding things. Fair enough. And it's something where, depending upon where you live, you may not have that whole thing, you know. Doomstoner Punk TV, welcome. Hey there, and thanks for correcting your spelling. I am not Grimmed Head, although sometimes I can be grimmed in the head. Welcome to the show. Nice to see you. And Bjorn Norgensen says, what I do most of the time is pre-order from Big Bad Toy Store, knowing they get their stuff last, then I go look for the figure in the store. If I see it in the store, cancel pre-order. Fair enough. It is something where Big Bad Toy Store, for the most part, despite the delays, most of the time has done right by me so far, right? So when I pre-order something from them, I feel weird about canceling it most of the time. And so I don't avail myself of such things. I should, but I don't. And it's dumb. Dumb, 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 dumb. You know. But it's a good practice to have. I don't know. Ben Sutley with what he considers a silly question, but it's not. Doesn't pre-order imply the company doesn't have them in hand? Isn't it just an order otherwise? Correct. Correct. Absolutely. Ian Swene says, the last pre-order I did was a re-release of the Empire Retro Wave. If Hasbro ever get their heads out of Mandalorian's ass and release a Return of the Jedi Retro Wave, I'll pre-order that. Fair enough. And I'm not sure why it held that. It shouldn't hold the word ass. Really shouldn't do that. But it's a whole thing. And yes, rumor has it that Bjorn's Walmart has all the crap that I like. It's true. They have a bunch of Stridors right now. And Bjorn was like, hey man, you want a Stridor? And I was like, I might. Because I'm kind of sick of not having one. But with everything being in flux right now, with moving and stuff, it's like, well, I don't really need to get any more stuff for multiple reasons. So that's another reason that the pre-orders are kind of convenient, especially with like Big Bad. You can pay for something, you stick it in your pile of even something that's in stock. You pay for it, they hang on to it for you, and then as long as you ship it within 90 days, they don't care. They have a flat shipping rate, right? So that's pretty cool. So it's great for like if you're moving or changing your P.O. box, or you just want to wait until multiple things come in. It's a very convenient way of doing things for sure. So I like that. But it's such a weird thing that in my lifetime we went from you just went to the store and bought something. If they didn't have it, oh well. You went somewhere else. And if they didn't have it, tough. And then as a kid, you normally end up going home with something, unless your parent knew you were really into it and said, well, we'll wait, we'll find it. And in some cases, kid logic would prevail and you would wait. Or you would get something else you really wanted. Then you begin to become more aware of things as they're coming out. You have anticipation, whether it's a comic book or a toy or whatever. But even with Spawn toys that originally came out through McFarlane Toys back in the day, I was very well aware of them through Wizard Magazine and other outlets that they were coming. I couldn't secure them. I couldn't, get my hands on one guaranteed. I had to wait until they came out. And then I got them. Going into the late 90s, I want to say that, around PlayStation 1 and beyond were when pre-orders started happening mainly in the gaming circles. And then after the turn of the century, with the internet really taking off, it just started to kind of manifest and gestate into what we know now. It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't, although I understand conceptually why we're there now, what I cannot figure out is why there's not a way to serve both masters, right? Like that to me is a problem. For the people that want to pre-order, they should be able to get them. For the people that want to buy them off the shelf, they should be able to get them. And I know it's not as easy as waving a magic wand or anything like that. But it's really frustrating because I gotta be honest, I would love to have a store within reasonable driving distance that I could more or less just go and get something. I don't want to make an adventure out of it. For modern stuff, especially. For old stuff, that's different. But if it's a retail thing, something in the package, I should be able to just walk in there, thank you very much, and walk out the door with it. You can't do that, and that's frustrating, and now I have to navigate all this other internet shit just to hopefully still get my thing. Because even if I secure the pre-order, but they didn't take my money, I have to make sure I have the money when it gets there, and if they don't charge it right away, in some cases they cancel it immediately without letting you fix the thing, or if they take your money and then give it back, then you have to do the thing. I did cancel it. It's insane. There should be a bit more secure ways to do it. Whether they did it on a layaway style of thing, where they say, okay, we're not going to charge you until it ships. If you want to chuck in a few bucks over the next few months, or like have an account with them, right? So like they call it the pile of loot. What about the pile of cash? What if they did pile of cash, where you could opt to put an X amount of money and use that as your primary source of paying out when things came in, right? Some people call that a savings account, and I have one and I do use it, but I'm saying that if I chose to do that with a Big Bad Toy Store or whatever, I should have that option if it's something I want to do. It would give me that sense of security, if you will. One thing I thought about was, what if I started using Walmart gift cards for the toy pre-orders that take the money and put it back? Because then it would just recharge the gift card. I don't think you can do that. But if you could, that would be an easy way to solve that little hiccup, right? So you can do the same thing with Target and other places. So I'm just trying to think, like, we have what we have, and I'm not going to be able to change the way pre-orders work these days with all these different retailers. So how can we make it easier on ourselves, right? Because prepaid cards, not a bad idea. If you get a prepaid credit card, or if you have a secured credit card, for example, where you put money in, because I have that through my bank, where I can throw money in there and then they just take stuff out, right? And that is something I've considered doing on pre-orders, where I just use that card, put the money in there, and don't touch it, right? I think one of those options might work better, because we can't control the cargo, we can't control the retail availability, so you have to figure out something, right? I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, am I speaking out of my patootie toot here, or is there some validity to what I'm saying? I'm curious. Logic Blaster says, I love the pile of loot feature. Use it every time. Saves so much on shipping costs. It really does. I wait till that gets... That's quite nice. Stephen S. says, last pre-order I did was sent 5 proof of purchases and got my Kenner Emperor figure a couple months later. I got that same Emperor, by the way. That's pretty good. Jim Largo says, for the most part, Big Bad Toy Store is slow but reliable. The Valaverse Fubar is unusual. Agreed. Jim Largo says, Big Bad Toy Store does have a store credit option at Big Bad Toy Store, but it's mostly for items you cancel after it's been in your pile of loot for a while. Yes. But unless I can pay directly in there, or do... You know what? Let's find out. Let me look. Let me see if they have it. Because if it is a thing that they have, that would solve a lot of damn problems. So like maybe it would be something more like, do I really want a case of beer, or do I want to, pay in on this thing? I go to wallet. Nothing here where I can throw money in there. It just says add new credit card. Pre-orders. Nothing there. I don't see anything that would indicate that I can do that. I wish you could. Store credit. Yeah, if you go to store credit, there's no link. It just does a thing. So you cannot create store credit for yourself in these situations, which sucks. Wish you could. That would be amazing. But there's got to be stuff. World Meta Cardboard says, pre-ordering a Transformer can be a risk. It's very easy for Hasbro to charge a lot for a toy that is a letdown. Transformation bad quality, bad design in general, just small for the money. Yeah. Transformers have a lot of points of failure, depending upon what you're getting. With your 6-inch figures or your Origins, stuff like that, it's relatively reliable, right? It's kind of nuts. Kieran Ball says there's only 2 toy stores near me. The Entertainer, which rarely has the toys I want, and Smith's. Stocks Legends and Origins, but don't care about their packaging. So I use online stores. Fair enough. It's so much to keep track of between the exclusives, which, and relative cost, who's getting what with shipping and this and that. So just depending on what it is, I tend to go to certain places, right? I buy so few new video games that I don't really think about it. With like a video game, if it's a game that is dependent upon the internet for it to work, like a Destiny or anything that's persistent online world, I get digitally because I'm losing nothing at that point. I will still get collector's editions of things. Sometimes I have the Witch Queen collector's edition sitting right there. I opened it yesterday just for fun. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And I put it back in the box until I have a place to display it properly. I'm not going to mess with it. But I didn't get the game with it. I ordered the game digitally. Because what's the point of putting a disc in and out if you need the internet anyway? You should always have it on hand, in my opinion. So, Mr. Jim Salzberg, sir. Good to see you. I can't make decisions. I'm a president. Little Spaceballs for you. And then he made a similar joke in Blazing Saddles too, I think. Last game he pre-ordered was a newer Battlefront. There you go. Yeah. But my point being with that, so I tend to go digital stuff. I don't ever pre-order physical. Ever. If it's something physical on a video game that I want, I just wait. I wait. Because within 2 weeks or 3 weeks of the game coming out, you can go to a GameStop and get a used copy of it for at least a 10% markdown. Sometimes they even go, they'll just open a new game and call it pre-owned just to get the sale out the door. I've seen them do it. A good friend of mine used to manage a GameStop. Well, a few of them. And they all told me the same thing. It's kind of weird. But it works. Oh, it's from Nightmare Before Christmas? I've only seen it once. But it's, that's its own little culture. With movies, I don't care. I'll just go through Amazon. If I really want it and I need it, I want it on a pre-order, I'll just go through Amazon and I'll get it when I get it. Sometimes I'll use Shout Factory if I'm getting like a poster with it or something. Or the price is better. They're pretty reliable. And books tends to be Amazon for me. But then with toys, it's all over the shop. Walmart, Target, Walgreens, Big Bad, Entertainment Earth, Nerdzoic, like the list goes on. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. I miss physical games only in the sense that they're not as common as they used to be. I think there are a lot of games that need physical releases that don't. That's where limited run games comes in, things like that. But I don't have like the ooh, let me grab this off the shelf, put it in the player the way I do with cartridges. Which I still have a ton of those, but it's a whole thing. And yes, Daniel, good evening to you. It is nearly 6 p.m. where I am. That's right. You are correct. Bjorn has pre-ordered books but never movies. Well, I'm a big movie buff. So, like, for example, it's a 4K of RoboCop, and there's the 4K version of No Way Home that's coming out soon, and a couple others. I rather enjoy having film, because when you get the 4K Blu-ray packages, you get a 4K, you get the regular Blu-ray, and you get digital. If I can get that, I don't give a shit. I'm fine. Because I'm going to watch it digitally most of the time because I own it. But once I get into a place and I get a larger TV, well, then I'll be watching the discs all the time. Like I have a ton of Blu-rays under the bed right now in a big frickin' bag, and they used to be on a shelf, but I ran out of shelf space. I was like, well, I'll just put them in this bag, and that's that. I don't let anything stop me from getting those, but I do tend to get things that come with digital copies so I can watch them right away. But I agree with Jim, where he says that the pre-orders from Amazon are pretty much the easiest. I agree, because even if the card changes or something, they give you a lot of opportunity to fix that problem, and typically don't cancel until they absolutely have to after like 3 or 4 times. Daniel Dorian used to collect VHS tapes 2 years ago. I dabble, right? Like I just recently got a lot. You may have heard me talk about this on the stream before, but I just recently bought a lot of original Xbox games, DVDs, and VHS tapes. And I haven't gone through it all yet. They're sitting in the storage unit. But what little I've seen, it's pretty cool. Jim Largo's asking for Grindhead watch-alongs in the future. For movies, I mean, we can do that. There's ways to do that. But if you want to do that right away for specific movies, check out on the channel Grindhead at the Grindhouse. We've done Lethal Weapon, Aliens the Extended Edition, and Raiders of the Lost Ark with Rob from Order 42, which is essentially DVD commentary style stuff. So you might get a kick out of that. But there are watch-alongs that I'm sure I could do if you all want to do it. I am planning to do a watch-along of the Game Chasers movie for you guys. It's not going to be here or on Twitch. It would have to be somewhere else for many reasons. But it is something that is coming. So if you're interested, we'll probably do it through Discord. So let me know if you're interested, and we'll get you the information when the time comes. Brendan Haley, how you doing, mate? Good to see you. I need to send you a box. Silver Shamrock. And no, this isn't beer or liquor. It's just a koozie for the bottle. This is Diet Mountain Dew, or Mountain Mist, or whatever the fuck they call it. Tastes good in my tummy. I like it. Oh yeah, Kieran, that's absolutely true. Some VHS tapes are worth pretty big money. Disney titles, and then film, TV, they haven't been as Blu-ray, things like that. So, like, in that lot that I bought are the original trilogy of Star Wars in the THX widescreen in a 3-pack. They're not super pricey, but relative to what they are, they're kind of pricey. So I got my money's worth right out. I paid $50 for the whole lot. Those are worth about $40. And one of the Xbox games are worth about $20. So I made my money back just in those. I could throw out the rest of them and have gained money on the deal. So I'm pretty happy about that. But very, very excited to really sit down with it and be like, ooh. because this guy kept the stuff in really good condition. So it's going to be fun to sit down and do it, and then organize them and everything else. So it's definitely a thing. And that's right. It's the same master as the Laserdisc. That's right. That's right. Andy Morgan, hello. Welcome to the show. Nice TARDIS you've got there. If you can get a good deal on them, it's just cool to have them on the shelf. I had them for years, and I got rid of them 4 years ago for no good reason. I just didn't want to carry them when I moved to Houston, and I should have. It was dumb, because the version I had was the THX widescreen that came in the special box. That's worth a lot of money. And I just gave them away. Dumb. Grindheads need to send me a box, and Big Bad keeps putting my pre-order stuff into a loot box. They have trouble shipping here. Problem is I keep ordering stuff, delays further shipping. Yeah. Are they letting us ship to Australia yet? I keep hearing conflicting reports. Can anyone confirm? Soldier Disney VHS years ago was able to pay a medical bill. Nice. Jim Largo says, have you ever been totally bummed about a pre-order once you actually received it? Felt that way about some of the G.I. Joe classified stuff? Sure. One that springs to mind is a video game called Thief for the PS4. It was highly touted, remake of a classic game. Game came out, was absolute crap. I ended up beating it in like a couple days and then returned it for like 80% of its worth. So I still got some money back out of it, which is good. Ben Stutley says, I just watched a VHS TXX widescreen this week, last down special edition available. Correct. And Kieran Ball only likes the pre-special edition Star Wars. Same. Absolute same. Jim Salzberg says, no, United States Postal Service does not enlist 2-day airmail. Fuck that. All right, good to know. I got stuff that needs to go to Australia. Got lots of stuff that needs to go to Australia. It's just sitting there. That's the whole thing. I have it on good authority, Andy, that Doctor Who does rule. I'm not a huge fan. I'm a Red Dwarf guy, but I know a lot of people that are Whovians, and there's a lot of Whovians in chat. So you're in the right place, but don't judge me. I'm not a huge fan of it. Zach says, I'll pre-order me. I don't know how you'd pre-order me. You already have me in your life, sir. I don't know how that works. I'm not sure what it is. I don't understand. Brendan Haley says, I got some stuff from the U.S. Other notice told we can't ship here when they attend the U.S. Postal Store. Okay. Got to use DHL, which is more expensive. We'll talk, but that's good to know. Ian Sweeney says, a lot of TV stuff that was released on VHS is rare because sometimes it's the only way to get the original broadcast from due to expiring music rights. Yes. And there are a lot of places that sell bootleg rips of those VHSs on DVD, and the quality varies and stuff like that. Yep. Daniel Dorian says, I've thought about collecting horror on VHS as well. Damn him, tempting me to get back into it. I mean, it's something that I really like to do. There's a lot of good horror stuff you can't get on anything else. And to be fair, if it was available anywhere else digitally, I would download it and put it on a disc myself. So for me with movies especially, it's about having it. Period. Right? And I don't care what format it's in for the most part. But if all I can get it on is VHS, so I'm not gonna get a bunch of old horror movies I already have on VHS. Generally speaking, I don't see the point. If I have a good copy of it on Blu-ray, good. I'm happy. But that obscure shit, gimme. Pow chicka meow meow to you too, Zach. Jim Largo, that is an unfair and untrue statement that Whovians are better than dwarfers. They're very different animals, but dwarfers in a fight with Whovians would win because Whovians are more cerebral creatures. We're just brummy gits. Stephen S. with the true statement that the worst kind of pre-order is HasLab. I would not disagree. HasLab is awful. That's not a pre-order. That's a crowdfund. Even though they call it pre-order, it's a fucking crowdfund. A product pre-order. And getting some support from Jim as well. Ooh, shots fired. Ian Sweeney says Doctor Who ended in 1989. BritBox is a very cool service, Andy, for sure. Daniel Dorian says, I've always wanted to return the Living Dead trilogy on VHS. Fair enough. If you can get your hands on the Shout Factory Blu-ray of the first one, that's where you want to get to, because it has that documentary on it. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Jim Salzberg says, once you're settled, I'll give you the Laserdisc player and the disc if you're willing to ship it, but it's going to be heavy and big. I don't mind paying that price. I want it. I want it in my hands, sir. So I thank you for remembering that. I had forgotten about it. Yes, I will be very interested in that. Very, very interested in that. Ben Stutley says, if I collected horror on VHS, it would have been the big rental cases and bring all the memories back. Yeah. Jim Salzberg says, I'm a Whovian, but the Smegheads are generally tougher. True story. Fact. World Made of Cardboard says, I love Red Dwarf, Doctor Who, Blake Seven's Blackadder. I am big into Red Dwarf, Young Ones, Spaced, Black Books, Faulty Towers. I'm kind of all over the shop. The Doctor Who bug just never been. It's not that I dislike it. I'm just not a huge fan of it, and it's whatever. Everyone's got their thing. It's okay. No one's gonna judge anybody else for what they like in here. Much. It's all in good fun. Daniel Dorian with an interesting question. Says, are you aware of the infamous lost insect pit scene from the original King Kong? The RKO one? Yes, I'm aware of it. I'm aware of it. I couldn't recount the tale in any, meaningful way, but I know what you're talking about. I've heard of it, yeah. And it's kind of funny to me that with everything they were able to get away with effects-wise, but there was something that didn't make it in, But I believe that there's elements of that scene that it wasn't about being able to do it. There was something else in there. I don't remember. I don't. I'm sorry. Keith Knight says, I have the 12-inch RC Daleks and Davros. They're great for tormenting the cats. I mean, you can torment a cat with anything, though, right? And do you have to do it with the... I'm trying to see if there's anything that's in my immediate grasp that you guys might want to see. Oh. Who wants to see Baron Zemo? Oh, my mouse just took a dive off of my mouse pad. Ah. All right, it's there now. Good. Okay. Oh, yeah, Daniel. Peter Jackson did recreate it in his classic. Yeah, that's kind of how he started out. Ooh, Fay Ray nude scene. That's a whole thing. Zemo is primo. It was deemed too horrific. Okay. Zemo is pretty cool. Let me show you. Bazow! There he is. In all his glory. Great paint deco. Good proportions. That's the comic Zemo. That's the Zemo I grew up with. It's great. And he's a Walgreens exclusive. But he's been going in and out of order for a while. So keep your eyes open. Yes, there are many words that YouTube makes you approve, and it's not fun. It's not fun at all. Not fun at all. Well, that Zebo's great. It really is Logic Blaster. I mean, if you're into the old school, like they're getting better with the classic comic book versions of characters coming out. Walgreens.com. It's the only place I order them from, honestly. And they're notoriously hard to search for on their site. So I depend upon Preternia's Twitter account to let me know when they're up for order. I go click, buy, that's it. So like Binary was out a while ago, and I didn't get her, but she went up for order again like a week or two ago, and she arrived the other day, and she looks great. It's a good looking figure. Got some cool. They're recycling some of these flame effects, but I like how these have a more subtle paint deco. Got little fireballs on there and some fists and stuff. Great looking figure. Really cool. Really cool stuff. But yeah, just Walgreens.com, dude. That's where they're at. And you can order it no matter where you live. You don't have to have one nearby. Bjorn Orgenson, my Walgreens might have all the dumb crap you like. Fair enough. Let me know. Let me know if they have Marvel Legends there. It'd be great to know, because there are some that they sell that I would like. Jim Largo says we need a real classic Falcon. 2 figures out recently and not white right yet. So, World Meta Carper with a great question for me and presumably for everyone. With pre-orders, what was your greatest surprise and worst letdown? I have limited experience with this because I've only done so many pre-orders that have actually frickin' come in. I would have to say I'll stick with toys on this one. That's tough, man. Man, you stumped me here. I'm gonna go with okay. Greatest surprise was vintage sculpt Skeletor from the Motu Origins line, because he looks way better than he does in the promo pictures, and he turned out really, really, really well. Absolutely loved him. Greatest letdown from that line would be Ninjor, because the one that I got, his head doesn't stay on correctly. Otherwise, character's great. Figure's awesome. But that particular one that I got is meh. You know, seldom do I get something on pre-order where I'm like, ugh, I hate it, you know. Yeah, that Mezco Conan is fucking amazing. It's great. It's good stuff. Jesse Hughes does not pre-order games. Too easy to rush them out with the knowledge they can be patched after the backlash. Exactly. That's exactly where my head's at with that stuff. Jim Largo says the Mezco Deathstroke was a letdown, though. Fair enough. Fair enough. So, as with World Meta Cardboard just pointed out, we are at the stage of the show where it's open season Q&A. It can be about the current topic or anything you want to ask about. We tend to close out the show that way, so keep them coming. Ask me anything. Be smart and respectful. I ask you, please. Jim Salzberg says, been lucky since I pick and choose, but the greatest letdown is the next 13 from... We're not going to say that name here. But, yeah. That's the whole thing. Been let down by a pre-ordered book before. It's fair enough. And I think that when we're talking about things that you haven't, read or seen or consumed par for the course. I think toys are like the least risky most of the time because usually you can see what they look like before they go out. Usually. Unicron. That's a whole other thing. I'm glad I did not get sucked into that. World Meta Cardboard asks how the move is coming. So Suze is moving into her place this weekend. And originally, I was thinking of trying to get something at the same time. That did not work out. I'm looking at a wider range of things. So I don't have a move date as of yet. I have other options to consider, which I'm going to be putting into a Patreon video tomorrow, and it'll trickle down, I'm sure. Things are good. I'm just taking my time to make sure it's the right move. So it's going. But I think it's best just to let Suze get her stuff where she's going, get her settled. Then I can reevaluate where I'm at, what I want to do. But it is still an imminent thing if I have anything to say about it. I don't have one anymore. Have I seen the American version of Life on Mars? I have not. Jim Largo asks, why hasn't anyone made a decent 1/12 scale Snake Plissken? Because they're stupid. The drama in the toy industry of all places. Who'd have thought? Yes. Indeed. Whoa. Why? Oh, this is a good one, Ian. Why do Army Builder figures always sell out? Because they're stupid. I don't get it, man. In a world where a guy like Koi Polloi has an army of Skeletors, granted they're vintage, right? And you see people with just legions of stormtroopers and shit. I don't understand. Now, I have a logical theory, which is you can only print so many of a toy to begin with without taking on risk, right? They don't want to run the risk of people not wanting these things, right? Technically, right now, I just double-checked, because I got really click-happy with the Horde Trooper. I pre-ordered like 5 of them. I don't need 5, but I might get them anyway. But I do feel like when it's a troop builder figure, those should be like earmarked as we're going to reprint those every 6 months as stocks begin to dwindle, or as they sell out, right? Because it's like, why wouldn't you just keep selling them? You're printing money at that point. Very frustrating. Daniel Dorian, Dave and Toyful is a legend. End of, 100% agree. Dave's amazing. I love Dave to death. Dave, I hope everything is well in your world. If you happen to be watching this, I love you very much, and I'll talk to you soon. They know we're going to buy them in bulk. Why not print them in bulk? Makes not a lot of sense to me. And something that Jim Largo brought up way early in the stream was why a pre-order could sell out on something they haven't yet printed. I've ranted about this on this channel before. If you have a cutoff for a pre-order, that means, in theory, that you're going to be sending your needs to the factory after the pre-order has closed, so you know how many to make. How can you sell out of that? And if it's a question of manufacturing time, shipping woes, whatever, take all the pre-orders and stagger when they ship in terms of manufacturing time. Why is that difficult? I don't understand. Bjorn Norkison says, Lego battle packs usually sell out fast because of the Army Builder figures in them. Just want a squad's worth of troopers and you're fine. Fair enough. World Meta Cardboard says, so, Final Faction is still in large quantities at my local Dollar Tree. Really don't see why other companies cannot do the same. Lots of army building potential there. Agreed. Which reminds me, I need to get to a Dollar Tree and get some troops. Because I have troops I need to get. Bill Wifta says, hi, everybody. Hello, Bill Wifta. How are you, sir? Good to see you. Logic Blaster asks, Jim, are you excited for Tony from Analog Toys' upcoming visit to the United States? I think it's going to be amazing. Yes, I'm very excited for Tony and for everyone else. I think Tony's been wanting to come to the States for eons. And I think for him, it's going to be a lot of fun. I know that being in the land of Georgia is going to be great. I think Joe Fest is going to be great for him. Obviously, seeing Michael and all the Valorverse crew, Bobby and everybody is going to be great for him. I think he's going to have too many options, to be honest. I plan to be at one of the two Georgia things. I am leaning towards the Marietta, Georgia meetup for Retro Blasting, which I know Tony will be at. People have asked me to go to Joe Fest. I really would prefer to go to the meetup. I don't know which I'm going to. I plan to be at one of them. I just don't know which yet. So I'll keep you posted. Because I'm going to be at Retropalooza in Houston in May, which is right before those two events. So I'm not sure what I'm doing yet. I'm not sure. Jesse Hughes says, meanwhile, Hasbro creates a 3-pack of Vipers and charges $90 for a $25 per figure, plus $15 because they know people want them. There's no winning. Exactly. In fact, Jesse and I are splitting one of those 3-packs because the price is just horrific. It's horrific. Jim Largo says, yep, never got the Shield figures, sold out pre-order in minutes. Stupid. Like, do you not want money, dumbasses? Ian Sweetie says, I must admit that I bought a Star Wars Lego magazine today as I had the 501st minifigure with it. Fair enough. Jim Salzer says, wish I could go, but cannot leave my cat alone for 2 days. That's fair enough, brother. If I go, which I should, I'll take pictures and video. Not just for you, but for everyone, but to make sure you get the thing. Karen Ball says, speaking of Army Builder figures, does anyone have the Marvel Legends Skrull Trooper figures? No, and I wanted them. And they sold out like that. Bjorn's going to try and make it to the meetup. Sweet! Jesse says, Tony goes to Georgia. It'll be hot and humid and full of large insects. Tony says, this is normal and fine. Correct. Now, Dorian says, I believe if I could afford it, I would go to Joe Fest and the meetup, but I'm in Northern Ireland. Fair. Well, to be fair, if you could make it to one of them, they're about an hour and a half apart. they're not that far apart. For me, I have no desire to make the drive. It's a 13-hour drive. And to go to both, I would have to rent a car or take an Uber or something. And that trek between Joe Fest and Marietta would be so cost prohibitive relative to the relatively low cost of either event. For me, it's honestly and most likely going to be me flying in the morning and flying out that night for Marietta and just getting an Uber to and from the event. Because I can take a commuter flight from here in Texas to Georgia for like $100. It's nothing. So it would save me on hotel, and I could, like, for an expenditure of like $250, I could have the afternoon, which would be nice. But I don't know yet, so don't hold me to that. Probably make it to the Houston thing as well. They're really close together, Bjorn. Honestly, if you're looking to come to Retropalooza, I think the Arlington one's better, but it's also 6 months away. So make your own choices, but it's a whole thing. Woman at Cardboard says, I would love to be able to go and meet with everyone. I get it. But come to Retropalooza in Arlington, you can at least meet me. That's in October, so that's down the road. Bill Wilton says, I don't have the money or time for conventions. Fair. I go to Retropaloozas because I get invited, which is nice. If I wasn't, I would be less likely to go to as many of them. But it is a very nice perk of being part of the crew, I must say. I absolutely love it. Don't be sad, Bill Wifta. I love you no matter what. Brendan Haley says, I will see Tony in November in Brisbane. Had beers recently with Sergeant Slaughter, Slaughterhouse host Jal. That person. That sounds pretty cool, though. Sounds pretty cool. And then, of course, as we move into like 3D printing becoming more and more consumer friendly, many people have speculated that they will start selling pre-orders for the printer files for toys. So you can pre-order the design, and then when it comes out, you can just print it. It's weird. Jesse Hughes says Arlington's only a 12-hour drive for some of the Western U.S. That's not a far drive. No. And you're in Colorado, right? That's not far. That's not that far. I think Colorado. Ian Sweeney says, I don't do well with no large noisy crowds, so not being able to afford the big convention is less of an issue than it might be. Fair. And for me as well, like, because I'm a guest at Retropalooza, I tend to sit at a table, so I can kind of pull away from the crowds a little bit, which is nice. I'm not a huge fan of just walking around large groups of people, so it's not a thing for me. So I get really lucky there. That's another reason why Joe Fest, I'm kind of like, eh. No such thing as off topic during the Q&A. It's a bit off topic, but how is my Red Dwarf collection? Ended up with some original 403s and some new effects paints. I have the original DVD set through Series 8. All original stuff without the redone effects. Digitally, I have all the remastered stuff. And I have the Blu-ray releases of everything after Season 8. So I have everything Red Dwarf's ever done up to this point, including the newest film they did a year or two ago. So I got all that stuff. I don't have much of anything else. I've got my Red Dwarf hat. I've got my Red Dwarf shirt. But those are bootlegs. I don't have anything official. I'd love to get, like, Red Dwarf badges, like actual pins would be awesome. There's just not a lot of stuff available here in the States, generally speaking. And a lot of the shirt designs they have are kind of dumb. So it's like, I don't know. I don't have nearly as much stuff as I'd like. Like, I'd love to get, like Matchbox or Hot Wheels style, like a Starbug and a Red Dwarf and stuff like that. It would be great. But they don't make them, at least not in the States anyway. So beyond just having physical copies of the entire show and a couple bootleg shirts, I don't really have anything. Not that I don't want it, I just don't have anything. Just moved to Boulder, Colorado, not far from Southeast Wyoming, where you moved from. Yeah, gotcha. I know I've asked you that 900 times, Jesse. Bjorn Jorgensen was just thinking about trying out something else. You never got your mic. You should get your mic. Did they ever make Red Dwarf action figures? Not to my knowledge. That I'm at least not stateside. That is something that would be interesting in a reaction figure. That would be okay. Because I don't think you need like full blown, Hasbro or Mattel or McFarlane level figures for that. Like, you don't need that. Like, just give me a 3 3/4 inch scale, Lister, Rimmer, Cat, Crichton, and give me a little like rolling screen with Holly on it. That'd be cool. Like, I'd be in. A little diorama, done. Be very happy with that. Be very cool. Still on the hunt for the LGN Cat Slayer. You and a few other people. I've got people looking out for those because I know a few people that want them. So if I come across one at a good price, I'll let you know. But a 3 3/4 inch Starbug, that'd be fun. That'd be cool. I would love that. But it would be a pretty big vehicle because you figure the small bubble in the front has to hold 4 3 3/4 inch figures. It'd be about this big, which would make the big bubble like this big. So you're talking about a vehicle that has to be like this big, like AT-AT Walker sized for this little launcher. How hard would it be to make a custom card for a Valorous figure? You mean like the ID cards? I mean, you could fill out one of the Steel Brigade ones if you wanted to, and then like edit the PDF, I guess. I honestly don't know what you mean, sir. Probably wouldn't be that hard, though. Brady Henry says, back in the 80s in Australia, trying to collect items from media like Doctor Who, James Bond, Star Trek was impossible. Had to be happy with VHS and occasional books. Fair enough. Stephen says, I am not in the hunt for that $600 Thunder Tank. Ugh. Oh, a card back, like 3 3/4 inch figures. Like, it wouldn't be that hard. You'd have to design it and then print it on some cards, like a thick card stock, and then maybe like, and then have, so like get maybe some thick board, and then print, glue the front with the card stock and the back of it to the card stock to it, and maybe, paint around the edges of the card stock so it's not white. You could do that if you wanted to. The bubble might be a problem though. That could be difficult. Jesse Hughes, my pre-order for the like button just arrived. Thank you. Please click the like button. It helps the channel out a lot. Helps the channel out a lot. Bill Lifton says, I know you hate NECA, but what about those Defenders figures of Flash Gordon and the Phantom? Are they worth getting? If you take my distaste for NECA off the table, I think those are really good-looking figures. I really do. There's another company that is making those as well. I forget the name of it. Jim Largo will be able to say, Jim, please let him know, because those are good figures, for sure. Definitely cool. Bjorn Jorgen says, I was thinking about doing one for Desert Rat when he comes in. Good idea. Good idea. Kieran Ball says, in the UK, they released a DVD set of Red Dwarf with a small Starbug toy. I remember that. They also released a big electronic Starbug with a small figurines of Lister, Rimmer, Cat, and Crichton. That I did not know. That's cool. I bet that's collectible as shit. Oh, Daniel Dorian says, Phil Collins just did his last ever concert as of March 26th. Ew. Man, but I saw pictures from that concert, or from like the last concert he did before that one. Not looking great. So good for him. Like he can retire. He's getting up there. Just like Beggars Canyon back home. Beggars Canyon Toys makes repro card Joe card backs and bubbles. You can easily modify one of those, maybe 12 for both the card and bubble. But if he's doing it for a 6-inch figure, do they do it for that? That is the thing. I don't know. He said, thank you, yes, well. Logic Blaster asking if I collect anything related to the Universal Monsters. There's a lot of companies producing stuff now. It is something that I'm interested in. I got a lot of the Remco figures when I was a kid. Loved them. I don't know which ones I would want, but I do want, in other words, which company's version. But I do want the original line of Universal Monsters. I want a Bela Lugosi Dracula, a Boris Karloff Frankenstein, a Lon Chaney Jr. Wolfman, Phantom of the Opera, Mummy, Creature from Black Lagoon, that kind of stuff. Would love to have those. But none of them I've seen that are coming out have grabbed me at this point. I'm not sure which ones I would want. But yes, I have a lot of interest in them. I don't currently have any. Like, I'd be happy with Mego versions of them, to be honest. I think that would be really appropriate. I don't even know if they make those. But it would be very cool to do that. World Minute Cardboard says, dinner's calling. I'm hungry. I must answer the call. Answer the call. We're going to be gone here in a few minutes anyway. Thanks, as always, for being here. I love your face, sir. Good to see you. Yes, Phil Collins is still alive. Yes. But Kieran Ball says, sadly, Phil is suffering from health problems at 71, decided to call a day. Better that he do that than do, going out on stage thing. Daniel Dorian says, NECA stands for not exactly completely accurate. Not wrong. Not wrong. Yeah, I'm with you here, Ben. As fellow drummers, a little shout out for Taylor Hawkins. Rest in power. I wasn't ready for that. For those of you who don't know, Taylor Hawkins was the drummer for Foo Fighters who died suddenly over the weekend. Really great drummer. By all accounts, really good guy. Way too young to die. And I wish well to the Foo Fighters and their fans. I consider myself among their number. I'm not a diehard fan, but they're a great band, and I feel their loss very, very much. Also, rip to Chris Rock's face. That's all I will say on the subject. You know. And I'm sure Taylor would appreciate that joke. Ian Sweeney says, it's gone midnight here and I have choir duties in the morning. Have fun, people. Peace. You too, Ian. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. So, we have talked about pre-ordering and all the headaches that entails, but I do hope that everyone's week is bereft of headaches and everything is good for you as we start to wrap up here. Aha! Logic Master Blaster Logic Blaster says, Mego does make the Universal monsters. They even did a supersized 14-inch tall Boris Collar Frankenstein creature. Like, okay, I will have to look into the Migos then. I think that's going to be the jam. Yes, Steven, the Foo Fighters did just make a movie. It's a low-budget horror flick, and they did a death metal album to accompany it, which is, from what I've heard, is very good. What little I've heard of it, it's quite good. Bjorn Dorcas says, I can't wait for next week's topic. Neither can I. I don't know what I'm going to talk about next week. I don't know. I have no idea. Ugh. I honestly don't know. Some weekends, I have like 5 ideas and I just write them down. Other weekends, I have 5 ideas and like 4.5 of them suck and I have to sit on it. And I started thinking yesterday, and then things happened yesterday, and I just went out of my brain. And this morning, I'm like, "Oh shit, I have to come up with something." And you know, Jesse's right here. Next week's topic: procrastination. Hey man, too soon. Okay, all right. You know I'm an expert at that. Shh, stop it. Shh, giving away all my secrets. Jordan says, I bet Grindhead Jim has a hat with all the topics in there and just picks it random. I used to. I ran out of those. I ran out of those a while ago. I did have an idea for this week. I was actually going to talk about horror movie related toys. But then I saw that 3POA did rated R toys, and I said, that's too close to the mark. I'm going to wait a bit. So that's one that's coming up. It's going to be a bit. And I'll probably wait until I get my hands on some of those Migos for display while we're doing it. So that's the thing. Bill Wifta with a very kind comment. Love just hanging out and chatting. Doesn't have to be a set topic. Fair enough. We can certainly do that from time to time. And there's a video that I've been meaning to produce of FAQs. I might just do that live. Honestly. I don't know yet. Pardon me. NECA has released a Lon Chaney Jr. Wolfman figure in black and white. That's gimmicky to me, but cool if you're into that. Better push the procrastination to next week. Yeah, I get you. Stephen S. as a topic: reused molds and vintage lines, and there's modern ones too that do that. What wasn't even really an attempt at an accent, it just kind of came out. No, I'm not doing that. Because there's way too many people that have actual legitimate accents in chat. It's not cool. It's not funny. I mean, unless it did like dumb American or something like that. Like that'd be one thing, but no, I'm not doing any of that stuff. That's just disrespectful. But yeah, there's certainly, reuse is a huge topic, but I would want to have someone on with me for that. When it comes to that, because for me, the amount of research I would want to do to make that a live chat, I might as well do a feature video on it, which I could still do that, It'll go on the list for sure. Well, there you go. Bobby Val and Michael Friends are doing a stream on vintage reuse. There you go. Well, then I don't need to cover that now, do I? Because they're going to be way more knowledgeable than I am, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I could do a show about how to come up with topics for shows. No, I'm not going to do that. All right, folks. Jesse Hughes says, military toys poist? Military toys poist 90. We could do that. I would have to look into it, but yeah, absolutely. There's tons of stuff we could do. Tons of stuff we could do. If there's ever a topic you guys want me to talk about, leave it in the comments on whatever stream you thought of the idea. That's the best way for me to have a documentation of it. I can't promise you I'm going to do all of them, but I'm always open to ideas. And I urge you to think about things that you want my perspective on, right? Because that's really what the show is about. You're getting my perspective on something. If you want me to spit out historical facts and perspective, that's more of a feature video. Oh, Jim Salzberg with the super chat. Thank you. I love you too. Thank you. Appreciate that. No, Bjorn. No. Good night, Steven. You take care of yourself. Reuse your bed. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go to your corner. All right. Well, I thank you guys very, very much. That is my time. We will see you next week for a live stream. Subject to be determined, as I've clearly pointed out. But there will be videos coming out this week. So I still haven't released the damn Motu Origins Troop Builder figure video because I haven't edited it yet. It's been busy around here. I will edit it this week. It will go out this week for reals. And I have some other things I want to talk about that might be off the cuff stuff. So, look for whatever we can. For whatever we can get. Oh, Mr. Jim Largo with the generous super chat as well. Military organization for action figure troop building. So you're talking about like how you would actually structure out fire teams and shit like that? Or just the military mindset approach to things? Is that what you're talking about? Jesse Hughes paying tribute to the Waltons. Kieran Ball reminding us to think pink. Logic Blast says good night. And says Ben and one of my favorite people in the entire fucking world, Keith Knight. Good night to you as well. Love and peace as well. And I think we'll end on that. Thank you all very much. I love you, and we'll talk to you very soon. Cheers, guys. I'm out of here. Good night.